Good morning, everyone. Roll call. We've got everybody on our committee is here today. Let's go right to item 1, approval of our agenda for today.
Daniel, can I note the start time as 9:05?
Oh yeah, go ahead. 9:04 in my books, but
9:04 it is.
Okay.
Did you want to mention the challenges on the committee? The changes?
I don't think it's necessary. If you'd like to.
Sure. Yeah. Linda has dropped off the committee, and John has a leave of absence for a while because of his wife's medical problems.
All right. Thank you, Patrick. So item 1, can I get a motion for approval for today's meeting agenda?
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item 2 is a consent agenda for the approval of the meeting minutes for April 17th, 2025. Can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Let's move to item 3, 40 North Point Drive with John. You there, John?
John Helmseth, you're up. Okay, go ahead.
Good job.
Okay. Well, any comments or questions from our committee?
I'd move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, John, that's all there is to it. Thanks for the submission. It was very complete.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.
All right, bye. All right, let's go to item 4 with Felipe.
Felipe, you can come off mute.
Yep.
Thank you.
Felipe, who are you're not the owner, right?
I'm the owner with my wife together.
Okay. Aaron Matthews. Okay.
Yeah, Erin Matthews
Okay.
is my wife.
Okay. Yeah, I think we've met you. Does my committee have any comments or questions?
I have
Patrick, what did you have to say?
nothing. I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thanks, Felipe.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, let's move down to item 13 with Ken and Justin.
Yeah.
Hi, yeah. This has been an interesting project. Let me get down to this.
Now we can mute. We can talk now. Yeah.
Yeah, did you have any comments to open us up?
One sec. Yeah, we are basically started the project rebuilding the existing structure, which was damaged by a tree that fell on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we decided mid-project to add 14 feet more width to it, keeping the same depth, and to add a roof to the existing part of the deck.
Okay.
And we didn't know that, I personally didn't know that I needed permission from y'all to, first off, rebuild the existing portion of the deck. And then when we decided to add a roof and an extra 14 feet of width, that's when we got plans in place and got engineering done.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big project, and one of the concerns we had was, when you start getting a cement truck there and how it impacts the neighborhood, that kind of thing, and that kind of raises some red flags. And one of the other things that and the reason we want to see all these projects, even though it seems like it's insignificant, really, it does impact open or the property coverage rules, which are at 35%, and the open space rules, which are at 50%. And you did do all that improvement in your front there, which looks nice to me. I think it looks great. But it's a continuing obligation.
Oh, sure.
I'm getting a really bad echo.
Is that you, Justin?
Yeah, if they have multiple devices in the same room, it
Yeah.
causes that.
Are we good? Yes, there is a continuing obligation for the property for forever to keep it at the 50% for open space and property coverage at 35%. And it looks like you're a little bit close to that based on the improvements you made to the front of the yard there. My view is that you did a really nice job with the front there, and you're definitely taking your project in the back seriously. I mean, it's slapping it together. It's a serious project. If you do go beyond these coverage rules, I'm inclined to ask you to submit a variance, but I think your project looks nice. I think what you did in the front looks nice. But we do like to keep an eye on whether these projects do go beyond these continuing obligations for open space and property coverage. That's why we want to know about these things.
For sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So the concrete, it looked a little dramatic having the concrete pumping truck and the concrete truck, and it's feels like just with all that equipment that the project got way out of scope. But when you have to bring 600 bags of concrete down a very steep slope without a wheelbarrow just to fix a footing and such.
Yeah, no, I mean, we don't begrudge you that at all. I mean, there are you do have to go through Alan to
I should have done that.
to clarify that, just for the neighbors, so that they know and they're ready for that. And these things are announced too, so the neighbors are aware of that.
We did talk to all the immediate neighbors, and they said okay and whatnot. But
yeah,
and the concrete.
That is a busy street. I drive by there just about every day, so I know that there's a lot of traffic going by there. And that's why. I mean, just building a deck, that sounds innocuous, especially rebuilding one that's been damaged. But, and extending it, then we start asking questions about open space and property coverage. Personally, as one member of the committee, I think you're doing a good job. I think you're taking it seriously. And there may be a variance that's required for this. I don't know. I think you're pretty close to 50%, which is, I mean, you've got the driveway on your side there is pretty big too. So a lot of your property has been, improved, or there's some kind of structure or driveway or parking on it.
The only thing we did, so the original scope of the deck where we poured the slab is exactly the same square footage as it was before. Like literally the same footing was just removed and then replaced with new concrete, and a slab was poured over the old footing basically. So if you look at the original square footage of the original deck, the concrete's the exact same square footage as the original deck.
So the only thing that extends would then be the
extra footing I poured 14 feet below the window, like the middle of the house. That's the only additional. It's like 14 feet by 93 inches deep, which is the only additional add-on to the deck.
Daniel, looking at the emails that came from Alan, are we at a limit? Is there a variance required for property total space or open space coverage?
I'm not clear. Alan, is that? What's your understanding?
So Dan, the numbers I provided were from the original home construction. The deck numbers are included in there. There is a little bit. It's roughly about 125 square feet deck enhancement, which, according to the original set of numbers, we were at 59% open space, and you heard the number about the deck. What was not considered, and that was my error, is there was a fire pit and barbecue and some astroturf that was added to the front of the house, which was done after the home construction. And so the concern now is, what are the new open coverage? Do I say that? Open space and coverage. Go ahead.
Yeah, so what you're looking at is basically what was the original construction. Adding the
Correct.
new deck to just the original construction numbers doesn't require a variance. But if we take into account all those other things that have been added since then, there may be a variance required.
Correct. That brings us current.
All right,
Was
so
the driveway was also included at the time that you added the fire pit, is that correct?
Are they talking?
Yeah, was the driveway added when you did the fire
No,
pit? Or?
we've never added a driveway.
Okay,
The driveway is what was there when we bought the house. We haven't added any concrete or anything. My name is Linda, and I'm sorry to interrupt, guys, but I think that.
Oh, go ahead. Thank you, Linda.
Oh, you're welcome. Anyway, can I clarify what you're talking about on the barbecue grills and that? What were you saying? Because we had a barbecue grill and a smoker on our back deck when the tree knocked it down. And there has never been a barbecue grill out front. We have a gas burning fire pit out there on that patio. But am I misunderstanding you? I was going to butt in here and try to help, and I hope I haven't hindered you.
You've identified the fire pit absolutely correct.
Okay,
it is. The question is, was there some astroturf or other?
Yes, there's the beams that are out there laying on the front right now are covering up the astroturf. There's a little, we tried to make it look aesthetically pleasing with a little bit of green grass, but and so there is a little bit of astroturf out there underneath the beams.
Yes.
There's not a great amount. I mean, and then you go down one tier. I wish you guys all would jump in a truck and come and see our place, because I think you would really understand better about the deck, about everything.
Yeah, we've been down there several times, and I drive by there all the time.
Okay, good.
And I think I have a pretty good understanding. And I think you did a great job with it all. I think it looks really nice, and that's
thank you.
Daniel, I have a couple points.
Go ahead, Patrick.
One, you mentioned in the beginning here that you were going to have a roof over the deck.
You know what we're doing is we've always had an awning, and it's destroyed by when the tree came down. When the tree came down, Patrick, it just like swiped it right off the house. If you've seen these pictures, it would blow your mind as far as the way that the wind and the tree took that down. And there was an awning up there that came out over the deck, and it's still up there, but barely. So we need to get that thing down. And what we were going to put is, Justin is the creator of what we were going to put up there, but I've seen it on several houses here in Sudden Valley, or I shouldn't say several, I'm sorry. I've seen it on like 2 or 3. But what is that stuff that you were going to put up there for?
Crystal light.
Crystal light is what it's called.
Skin system.
Yeah, their skin system's a polycarbonate kind of layered, opaque, see-through roofing material that goes on top of the deck.
Yeah, that wasn't listed at all in your request. You know, that would be something else. And the other question I have, how many decks are there? They're going to be.
There's one.
Okay.
One deck. One deck. It's
So
the
just one
exist-
level?
just one level. That's where, when we watched the last meeting, Kenny and I were going, they're talking about 3 decks. I was upset because I thought I need to clarify that. There's just one deck. We only have this back door going off of our dining room. And we don't have a door down lower. We don't have any more doors unless it's our front door. And this main floor has nothing there right now, but it will have the deck coming off of it.
What's the solution?
And it will have a railing. It'll have a railing. It will be, I mean, it's going to look really nice. It's done with track stacking.
I'll say I'd like to just chime in.
Yeah, go
and
ahead, Joel.
Had a
Please.
comment about those questions about open space and a property coverage rule. If the deck is left uncovered, it would not affect the property coverage rule. It does affect the open space. You have, based off your lot square footage and your impervious, well, your coverage with your footprint and your garage and your driveway and sidewalk, you still have 569 square feet of deck that you could build or surface that you could build until you hit your open space limit.
So the overall square footage of this whole deck is let's see.
Yeah, and just the new section of your deck that you're extending, what did you say that was? Like 9 by 13?
Yeah, 1, 2. So the total square footage of the deck is 294 square feet. That's including the add-on, which is 116 square feet.
Yeah. So and I think your existing deck, well, your previously existing deck was in part of the original calculations. So just that, sorry, what was the addition?
116 square feet.
116.
The original deck was 178 square feet.
Yeah. So even with your 116 square foot addition, you still have 453 square feet.
No,
until you run up to your open space limit. If you do put a roof on the deck, then you have to consider then it becomes also part of the 35% property coverage rule.
So the roof is 178 square feet.
Okay.
The roof doesn't extend over the whole deck.
No.
Just the original 178 square feet of the deck. We're adding 116 square feet of the deck that will not be covered.
So, Joel, if they add the roof over the existing deck space, does that get them into over the 35%?
Looking at the lot area square footage is 6,182 square feet. And the house footprint numbers we have, and that should just be including the roof, the current roof is 2108. You said the last deck had an awning over it?
Yes, it's one of those sunsetter type where you roll it out when it's, when you want it out and that. The only reason we're even going with anything else is because how every once in a while we get a rainstorm, and if we're out there eating, we're going to put the table right under where that covering is, so everybody's not eating soggy potato chips.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Joel, just to clarify, are you considering the improvement from 2 years ago when you're doing these calculations?
Oh, which improvement?
The fire pit area?
No. Is there I haven't seen the fire pit area.
We don't have the numbers on the AstroTurf. The fire pit was small.
Yeah, it is. It's a very small area, really.
If you take into account the existing house footprint of 2108 and you add the deck coverage of 135, that gets you to 2243 divided by the 6182. That's 36%, almost 37%.
Yeah, those are my numbers too. So I think if you're going to put a roof over that deck like you propose, that would put you over the 35%, and then you would need a variance for that.
So my view is you're doing a good job with this project. You're taking it seriously. You're not slapping something together.
That's right.
We
Thank
have
you.
variances for a reason. I would be willing to consider this project, but we would require you to submit a variance for that if my committee agreed to that. Is my committee amenable to this solution?
That's my take, is I don't see any reason that, this is not a well thought out project and probably wouldn't be approved, but it does appear that it's going to exceed the property or the coverage requirements. And so I would then, if I were to make a motion, it would be a motion to deny and request that the property owner come back with this submission along with a variance request that takes into account all the additional items like the AstroTurf, the roof over that, and submit a variance request for property coverage. Would it be property coverage?
Property coverage, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Submit
Dan,
property coverage variance.
let me put this out there. Could we, I hate to have them just completely stop the project. Would you be okay with just have them as a formality submitting a variance request?
Yeah, I don't see the reason to stop the construction, but that in order for it to be considered finally approved by Sudden Valley, it would need to require a variance request.
And
So
that
they
could be
need
something they do
need to
today with
register-
Alan.
Pardon?
And that could be something they do today with Alan.
Yeah. So we would be approving the variance request. It's not, we don't have anything in front of us to approve.
Right.
Well,
I think we could make a conditional approve on the condition that they submit a variance request.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve this condition on a submittal of a variance request for the next meeting.
Second.
So
Any
do
other
you
comments?
So we can do the variance request, and then by the next meeting, you guys approve it, and then we can continue work? Or
I think
continue?
I think you can continue. Does my committee have any problems with that?
No, I don't, at least for me, I don't see a reason that, as long as we've identified everything, the roof over the deck, any other additions that were made in the form of the turf and fire pits and all that gets included in the total variance request. And then
See, I didn't even know about that. I didn't think that would be a problem. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, that's why we ask people submit, no matter what you're doing, if it's some sort of exterior alteration, just so we can talk you through what the limits are and what Sudden Valley's policies are. And again, I think you guys are doing a great job, and that's why we're willing to listen to you and help you along with this. So Dan, could you restate that motion?
I'll make a motion to approve contingent upon the submittal of a variance request, taking into account the roof over the deck, the new roof over the deck, and any other ancillary additions to the property that have been put in since the original construction submittal. And with that, it would be, we're not expecting them to stop construction, but they do need to submit the variance request by the next meeting.
Okay.
Any other comments from the committee?
No, it's good.
Okay, so all in favor of Dan's motion?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you for working with us on that.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate this.
Alan will talk you through the details of what you need to do to go forward.
Very good.
Good
And
luck, and keep your potato chips dry.
Okay, good. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to stop by anytime. We welcome you anytime.
Well, thank you so much.
Ring the doorbell. And
the potato chips are out there.
I'll have them. I'll make sure they're crisp. Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
We learn something new every day. Thank you much.
Yeah.
We did, for sure. Appreciate it.
All right, let's move to 19 Valley Crest Way with Max.
Hello.
Hi, Max.
How are you?
Pretty good. It looks like we met with you a few
Yeah, the
times,
last meeting.
and I think our sticking point was the driveway. I think you had it over like 20% or something.
Yeah, I had a variance request on my impervious surface,
Yeah.
but you guys brought up the driveway, so I went and got that fixed, but I kept the variance request for the impervious surface.
Okay. Any does my committee have any comments about the item 9, the new construction, before we look at the variance? Any comments at all about that?
No, I think it's good. He's got the slope reduced, so.
Yeah, he did what we asked him to do.
Yeah, and I still have some wiggle room, so it's sitting at 14 something right now. And if I just move the linear drain, it's in an ideal spot right now, the draining system, but I can always kind of get it moved a little bit to lower that slope percentage, but then it might also make the driveway a little more uncomfortable based on drain location. So just
Does that look good to you, Joel?
Let's see. There was a couple of things. So we didn't get a report out in time for this one. But yeah, most things, the big items look good. There was a couple little things here. Let me share my screen. I can point them out.
Yeah, I'm looking for the checklist. I don't see the checklist on this one.
Yeah, do you have the original checklist there, Joel?
Which part here?
Your report from last.
No, this one. So it was seen as a.
Oh, this was that's right. Yeah,
this was an in concept at first, and then he came back and submitted officially, and then we just didn't. It made it on the agenda before we could go through and do the big review and get the report into the agenda. So I let Max, so he did get the review done, and I emailed Max and let him know, hey, you're missing a couple items, like the stormwater report. I think we need a landscaping plan, which he has submitted since then, and we've received it, but it's not part of the official packet right currently. There was a couple trees. There was a one tree over here. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
My goodness, right. There's a tree over here, this 20-inch cedar that is kind of close to this where this driveway cut will be. That might need to be removed. It'll probably come close to impacting the roots. So that was one comment I was going to make. And then let's see what else. The setbacks all look good. The driveway profile, showed a 75-foot line, and it is, pretty tight there. It's hard to draw a driveway profile when the driveway is turning in from the road like this, and then going down and then turning back into near the garage. So when they're driving, when they're creating that driveway profile, right, they have to choose exactly where to pull it from, and they had a 75-foot line. I don't know if I have it as part of this packet right currently. I know it was included in the ACC packet. Let me see if I can pull it up here. So yeah, the driveway, and I think Dan had a comment about the driveway being really close to the maximum, and I would agree with that.
It's close to maximum, but it looks like it's a pretty long driveway. And it's got a spot where you can back out of the garage and then go up the road. So, I mean, I'm less concerned about a steep driveway if it's got a longer runway to it. Those seem to be a little easier to navigate than these ones that look like they're just a skateboard ramp on the side of a hill.
Yeah, and I think that turnaround is necessary because this driveway is, downsloping from the road. And if that wasn't there, he would have to back his car uphill onto the road. So I think that turnaround is necessary too.
Well, since we're talking about the driveway, we may may as well talk about the variance too, because I'm not really clear what the original and the new. It looks
yeah.
like they're both above the property coverage. Is that correct?
The open space looks good. The
Yeah,
property
so-
yeah.
So,
Well, it looks like the
Can I jump-
total square
Daniel,
footage.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
One way or the other, I'm not comfortable approving this. We've gone from this is a resubmission from an in concept. And it doesn't, I mean, it sounds like Joel hasn't gone through this. He's gone through it partially, but we don't have that standard form sheet in front of us that says, you know, this is Joel's review of it. These are the things that he's flagged. These are how things match up against the requirements. I don't see how we can approve this today without that. I mean, we're kind of line jumping if we do that.
Well, I know that the ones that the applicants submit to us are almost never correct. Joel
Right.
almost always.
Yeah. I have gone through it. I do have all the numbers. So,
Right.
you know,
I think that's good that you've done that, but we haven't seen that.
right.
So that's my point is like, I think for especially for new construction, like we've got to make sure that everything is buttoned up and tight and all the I's are dotted and T's crossed and we follow the same process. I don't think we can approve new construction for one contractor that we need to follow the same process consistently. So we haven't seen that ACC inspector's report attached to this new construction proposal. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
That's correct. And I'll take some of the blame for this because we were trying to help Max out and get him on the agenda as quickly as possible. The lesson learned here is it doesn't go on the agenda until Joel and I have a complete opportunity to review the packet. So lesson learned.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Dan, because we do have to take these things seriously and have, take advantage of Joel's expertise and sort of assimilate all the information that he provides us. It's hard to make we'd be making a decision on the cuff, without really reviewing this and discussing it and then we go to the property and based on the numbers Joel gives us, we look at this and determine, whether a variance is either needed or warranted. So I think Dan makes a really good point that we can't really review this today because we're getting information right now that we probably would need some, we usually get these packets on a Friday and review them for almost a whole week before we make any decisions. I think.
So just for my own knowledge, what did I do wrong with my submission?
You didn't, I don't think you did anything wrong. It's just a timing thing. It's just the ACC inspector didn't have time to review the whole set before it went out to this committee. So that's there's nothing done wrong. It's just a timing thing. So
Max, this is Al.
I think Alan was trying to help you out by getting it in here and go ahead, Alan. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, Max, if you want, give me a call after the meeting and I can lay it all out for you. What went well, what didn't go well, and what the lesson learned was. You didn't do anything wrong, but we did you a disservice by trying to get it approved before Joel and I had an opportunity to do all of our back end checking and document preparation. So we take what you give us, we add a bunch of stuff, and then we give it to the committee. We had to scramble, as you saw in some of the emails, to gather stuff that was missing from the original packet and then provide it to the committee. And we just didn't have enough time to do that.
Yeah, the stuff that was missing was like the stormwater, for instance, it's on the actual site plan, but I just had to show him the official document. And there was like 4 items, but they had nothing to do with really like your guys's guidelines. They were just proof that I actually got these things done. So I can kind of.
And Max, when you make an application where you're pushing things, your vertical height is right at the border. You're asking for a variance on the driveway. When we start pushing things right to the limit like that, then we need to get this a little closer scrutiny. So
yeah,
that's why I'm inclined to agree with Dan and say that we can't decide today because we look at all of these issues together. Maybe a variance is warranted if the open space is much lower. We look at all these things as a whole. So with just these little bits of information and not enough time to review them, I think we can't make a determination today.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to deny and look for a resubmittal at a subsequent meeting with a complete ACC inspection report attached to it.
All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so I guess we'll go to item 10 too for the lot coverage.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to deny, again, pending a final review or review by the ACC inspector.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Max. You're doing the right things, but we do need to review these. I appreciate your patience on this.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks. All right. Item 12, 18 Louise View Drive.
Hello.
Hi. Is it Basil?
Yes.
Did you guys go out and look at this?
I did. I actually sent a panorama photo.
Was that what you sent this morning?
Yeah. Did everybody get that?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, the only one that's really relevant is the panorama one, and I think that pink line on the left is the one that, that's the left side of the, I think that's the property line. So my impression on this application is two things. I mean, are we still at 24% on this driveway slope, Basil?
I don't know. I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I know our old policies allowed that, but it didn't mean that that was an automatic approval. That's a very steep driveway, and I know Louise View, and that is a heavily traveled road, and it's very curvy and hilly, and that would be a very dangerous driveway to have there.
Okay, so the problems right now is the driveway, right?
How many percentage would be nice?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
And how many percent would be nice?
15.
15%.
Yeah.
Okay, I will talk with the Yosahi. And so the builder is a builder.
Yeah.
And I think
Anything else?
I'm sorry?
And anything else? I know this was problem with the.
Well, the other issue I have is that the tree that we're talking about that's on the neighbor's lot, this would not be an issue if this house weren't so big for this lot. I see that we had a arborist look at it and say that would be in danger if this construction took place. So you got another arborist who said that it would be in danger, but this is what you could do to the tree to protect it. Because there is that dispute, I would say that I couldn't allow that unless you got written approval from the neighbor to do this mitigation plan, because it sounds like it's, you're wrapping a fence around it and all these things, and there's still a danger to the tree. There's still a small danger to the tree. So unless you got approval from written approval from the neighbor, I couldn't allow that tree to be in danger.
I think. Yeah, sorry about that. So I think I can move the house on the right side like 1.5 feet.
That might be a solution. I think, isn't that a green space on the right side?
So it's gonna work, right?
You will have to look at the plan. I mean, that sounds like that may be a solution for that tree. I would like to hear what how far are you talking about?
It looks like that's right. Like, yeah, this is showing. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm checking this. Oh, sorry.
Joel,
Do you
go
have
ahead.
any or-
Yeah, the plans do show that, you know, you're 6.3 feet. Oh, hang on here. Is that quite? Yeah, 6.3 feet on the right side. So with a 5-foot setback, you could move that 1.3 feet to the right. That would help.
That's a green space, isn't it, Joel?
A little bit away from that. Right next door here, I could look that up real quick. Yeah, that is a SVCA owned lot to the right.
Okay.
That's lot 10 here. So the house maybe could be shifted slightly to the right side to the 5-foot minimum setback. That would help. It looks like, yeah, with the new arborist report, they talk about what they will do to help protect the tree. And the tree we're talking about here is this 22-inch fir near the property line. So this, and I know if you guys remember from last year, so this was submitted, I think back in, it was June 4th, 2024.
Mm-hmm.
There haven't been any alterations to the home since we last viewed it.
Yeah.
It was most of that tree, the dispute over the tree on the property line here.
One of the issues that we tackled last summer already was the fact that the stormwater was gonna get pumped up in the ditch. And the response was that if it fails, there's nobody down slope. So like the problem we had on that Valley View, why we didn't like that one and why we didn't approve that was because there were homes immediately downslope. And so if pump failure would result in the stormwater ending up in their backyard or their basement. So this, Daniel, when you were out there, it looks like if there was a stormwater pump failure and it all just went the other direction instead of uphill, it's not going to cause a problem.
I didn't think so. It's pretty open space back there.
Yeah, it's a big park behind the house, and that is parked all the way down to Lake Louise Road. So there are no homes downstream, and there would never be homes built there downstream either.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, my take is this house is pushing
Every limit.
Every limit. And that's just not acceptable for the neighborhood. So I think, you know, changing.
Yeah, when you look at this this profile of the side, this is what the neighbor is going to be looking at 12 feet from their house.
Yeah, this is one of those houses that just shouldn't get built, but if it's going to get built, it's going to have to conform with the neighborhood a little better. So
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like these limits were given to the designer, and you said build it right up to the edge of every one of these limits. I mean, every one of them.
Yeah.
And the driveway is way over. So, I mean, does it fit in this lot? I mean, you can squeeze it in there, but is it appropriate for this lot and for the neighborhood? I don't think so.
Houses in the neighborhood
And
like?
we wouldn't even be talking about trees if the house were fit in the lot better.
What are the other houses in the neighborhood like?
They're not quite this big. The one right next door does have a kind of a big profile to it on the side. It's not a small profile because that's one of those sloping properties, so the side of the house does look pretty big. But we're not reviewing that, and I think that because this one does impact their property, their trees, and even if you did move it 1 foot and 1.3 feet over, does that mean the tree's still in the clear entirely? If it's not, we're going to have we'll still have to have the neighbor look at it and approve it in writing.
What's the square footage of the house? I don't see that anywhere.
Do we have that, Joel?
Yeah, let me see here. I'll have to take a look at the. Oh, it says. Let me hop back here. It says the living area. Total living area.
Yeah, that's a big house.
That's over how many floors?
2 floors.
I think there's 3 floors. Let's take a look.
I would bet that there are no other houses on the block that are that big and that fit that tightly on the lot.
Yeah, I guess there's 3 floors. It's kind of a split level. The downstairs basement's not as big as the main floor, and the second floor and the roof, second floor is not as big as the main floor. So they're kind of stacking it like a dominoes.
What's the footprint? How large is that?
Well, the open space is right at the limit, and so is the
1,500,
coverage, correct?
1,600 square feet, Patrick. Shows 2 cars parked in the garage with that driveway slope. That'll never happen. They'll be parked out on the road.
And that is a problem in that area.
Yep, especially on that road. It's a busy road. You can just see it when you walk around, that anywhere where there's these series of steep driveways, all the cars are parked on the road. So would it be a motion to deny as submitted and direct that the developer builder get the house to fit a little bit more with the neighborhood with specific focus on the driveway slope?
That sounds good.
That would be my.
Dan,
Any comments on that motion?
So the trees. So if I move the house like one and Tori 1.3 feet to the right side, the tree is not going to be a problem, right?
We don't know that.
So the neighbor has proved.
If the neighbor gives you written permission to put protective, whatever protective measures they have to do, you have to do to it. If they give you written approval for that, that would satisfy that part of my concern. The driveway is always going to be a concern.
Okay, so the driveway should be cut, right? Percentage, right?
Yeah, 15 at the most.
15 at the most.
Yeah.
So, and then I will pass this, right?
I missed that.
He trying to tell you is if he will fix a driveway, that's this problem will disappear. It's only 3 will be another issue, right?
I still think it's a big house for this lot.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, we have to determine whether it's appropriate for this neighborhood, this lot.
I see.
That's the thing the whole committee looked at.
I think
they have big family. That's the reason why, probably.
Yeah, the takeaway from the conversation should be that this house is just a really big house, and if there's room to scale it down and have a smaller footprint, smaller profile, not as high, definitely the driveway slope, then that would be something to consider if I was trying to design this home. But my motion is the same, that we deny as submitted and request that the developer come back with a different design that particularly addresses the steep driveway slope and considers maybe scaling back the overall size and profile of the house to better fit the neighborhood.
Okay, we will talk to a builder, and because they already did 2 times, a little bit smaller than it used to be, a coverage area, but as they need to do, everything from beginning, if it cuts a lot of square footage, we'll see what builder says is, because they didn't want to lose another year,
I understand. Thank you.
Okay, committee, do we have any comments on Joel's motion to deny?
It was Dan's motion.
it was Dan. Hey, Daniel.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Daniel.
I mean, if Joel wants to take credit for it.
Did I say Joel?
Yeah.
I can't make any motions.
Daniel, can I repeat the motion?
Yes,
to
please.
make sure
Yeah.
I've got it down.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a motion to deny. And the comments are, it's a really big house. We request that it be scaled down and specifically address the driveway so that is at or less than 15% at the most.
I would say it's a very big house for the lot.
Really big house for the lot. Okay.
I know there's a percentage of the deals you can make, right?
But still 49% is only coverage area.
I didn't hear all that.
There's a still like 45% of the
49.
49% of the cover area.
I mean, yeah, I mean, just because you hit those numbers doesn't mean we'll automatically approve. I mean, when you're pushing the boundary on every one of your numbers, we look at that.
Yeah, if you were up against the limit on one, but your driveway was not steep, the overall property coverage was less. I mean, like Daniel said, every single one of those was right up to the limit, and that results in a house that doesn't fit the neighborhood. So that's the takeaway. I think we're ready to vote, aren't we?
I think so. All in favor of Dan's motion?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. All right, thanks, Veso.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I will check with the builder about that.
Thank you. Thanks for working with us.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Alan, do we have anybody else with us?
No, that is everybody.
Okay, let's go to item 5, 21 Fairway Lane.
I'll move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Item 6, 17 Par Lane.
Okay, that's one where they're just kind of building over their existing deck. There was a concrete deck and they're just gonna do it, but it doesn't meet the setbacks on the side. However, they've been there for, since the house was built. So, I think we should approve it, but with the contingency that they put in the variance request just to realize that this stuff was in place beforehand.
Yeah, that's what I think too, Patrick. It's not like for like, but it does cover the same area. So just to keep it on the records that this is going beyond the limits of the setbacks, I would agree with Patrick on that. So I would approve with the stipulation that they submit a variance. So,
Patrick, do you want to be the author of the motion?
Yeah, go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah. I move to approve the deck at 17 Par Lane, but they need to follow up with a variance request that it exceeds the setback limits, but the prior deck was already in effect.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Item 8, 8 Morning Beach Drive.
Do you want to do 7?
Oh yeah, I crossed it off before,
Okay.
before I mentioned it. Well, let's do 8 Morning Beach Drive. We'll go back.
Okay.
So I wasn't clear. I mean, this is incredible landscaping they've already got in place. Are they just sort of building on top of that or adding a little bit to it? I mean, they've done a really good job so far.
Yeah. I don't have any more information about this other than I was stunned by the submission, the quantity and everything, but I didn't have any direct contact with the homeowners.
Yeah, I mean, what we saw, it looked pretty good. It looked like it was finished, and I guess they're just going to add improvements to it.
This looked like it needed weeding.
Yeah, maybe weeding, but I think they're going to extend some walls a little bit. Not the height necessarily, but
it's the summary is on page 2 of 6. The scope of the project, yeah.
They want to terrace and refresh the landscaping, repair and raise the height of the existing stone. So you guys went out and looked at this?
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah, it looks like the existing stuff is pretty nice and they just want to spruce it up. So
Yeah.
I mean, somebody that puts this level of detail in a submission isn't going to do a crappy job. And just based on the pictures of the existing, it looks like they are pretty conscientious about the way they design their landscaping. So I don't see any reason not to go forward with it.
Unless there are any further comments, I would move to approve.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Okay. Good landscaping. All right, let's go to item 7. 37 Marigold Drive.
Move to approve.
Which one is that? Oh yeah, that was the big leaning tree. Looks like it's leaning toward their deck. Any other comments? All in favor of Joe Jean's motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, we got 40 Harborview Drive in the shed. Item 11. This is a big shed. I guess the idea is to accommodate their kayak or their canoe. I can't remember which one it was. And there's actually on Google, I didn't know so much of Sudden Valley was on Google drive-through. So I saw what the house looked like from the street, and they do have the kayak in the front of the yard right now and some other items that would probably go into the shed. My biggest concern, and probably everybody's, is the size of this shed, though. We've denied sheds this size before and asked that the owners scale down their projects. On the other hand, when I looked at this house, there's absolutely nothing in the back, no neighbors. They're up against a hill, very secluded. From what I can tell, nobody would ever see it, which would be a mitigating situation to maybe offer a variance. Any other comments?
Yeah, I think this is one that's probably, we would do a conditional approval. We would approve the shed, but they would have to submit a variance for the size of the shed. But being back behind and everything, it's not visible from the street. It'll make the driveway nicer. He won't have a canoe out in front of the end of his drive and all. So
Yeah, the way I look at it,
I'm looking at the Google map picture, and like the one canoe versus the 4 cars in the trailer park. There's build a shed big enough to park all that stuff in.
Yeah.
All right.
Baby steps.
We have a motion?
I think Patrick was making one.
yeah, I would move to approve the shed, but request that a variance be submitted for the increased size of the shed.
And ensure that the setbacks are adhered to.
Yes.
Okay. There's a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Number 14, 11 Oval Court. Oh, that one's been withdrawn. Item 15, 17 Lost Lake Lane. Boy, I wish we had the owners here for this one. My view is that we don't really have enough information. This driveway wasn't really staked. I think part of what their plan is goes into a wooded area. Suddenly they want to, I'm not clear where the paved area is going to be, the asphalt. Can anybody interpret that?
Yeah, that's the one that we went and looked at it, and it looks like it's an Airbnb.
Yeah, I think what I can glean from the application, it would make this look like a commercial space because they've got an upper parking area, a lower parking area. That seems pretty extensive. And there's no indication of how the driveway will be built other than they tell you how it will be built, but there's no real description of, I think we require beams to contain the whatever gravel they're going to put in, so it's not just a sloppy mess. I feel like we need a little bit more detail to understand this one and understand why they need an upper parking area and a lower parking area.
Is there already a parking area on the upper side? I mean, I see there looks like there's a car kind of.
It doesn't really
Middle,
look like a
like,
parking area right now, but you definitely could park a car in there.
I think that's what from the photographs and the drawing is, Dan, I think what they're trying to do is convert the porous areas into you know what I'm talking
Impervious.
about. Impervious, yeah.
It's from what I got, part of it will be asphalt. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. It's a combination. In my conversations with Joel about the matter, we know that asphalt is less expensive than cement for large areas.
Yeah. I was surprised that we allowed that.
Well, yeah, this is the committee. We can say whatever we want.
Yeah.
My biggest concern is that it would start looking too much like a commercial space. This is obviously a short-term rental. They've got a little plaque on the front there that Patrick noticed. It's a nice little surrounding. It's a nice space, and I think it's 2 adjoined lots. But Patrick mentioned it. I don't really have enough information. It's not really staked. I see the drawing there, but I'm not sure how far that actually goes into the space. I'd like to have a better idea what the finished project will look like.
Yeah,
where the asphalt will be.
Yeah, I think what we need to do is to deny it at this point, and they need to go ahead and stake out, exactly where or line it exactly where the drive is going to be, and also what the coverage is. That may affect the thing as well.
Yeah, I would agree.
If things are existing, if all these parking areas and driveways are pre-existing, it shouldn't affect the coverage, because the policies don't distinguish between if a driveway is drivable or asphalt. It's still considered in the coverage or the open space. But it sounds like they are paving the driveway and then keeping the upper and lower parking areas as gravel.
Yeah, I didn't get that. Great, all driveway shown.
Yeah.
So that under asphalt, that's the only paving, right? Asphalt, an area of 11 by 65.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, so 11 feet wide. There is a 12-foot minimum.
Yeah.
width. And then it looks like, based off of the diagram they've given here, it looks like that says 63 feet. So maybe they're estimating about 65. I can't quite make out the number.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
But this one is their upper parking area. This one is the lower parking area. This is a 22 by 23 that they mention up here.
Well, the dimensions of the asphalt and the dimensions of the gravel rock are the same. Both are 11 by 65.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think they want to just go and pave that drive.
This part up here, where it says an area of 11 by 65 will be graded. They're going to remove all the gravel. They put the 5/8 minus crushed rock down first, then they compact it. So it's explaining their process they're going to do, and then they'll go down and pave on top of that. That 5/8 crushed gravel.
Yeah, that's kind of how I read it. So they're gonna put asphalt on the whole thing.
Along the driveway area, but it sounds like they're only going to pave
the drive, and the parking areas I think are going to be the gravel.
Yeah, that's what my takeaway is.
Bottom line is too many questions.
The thing. So gravel the whole thing, and then because they need to lay down a good base layer for the asphalt, and then just asphalt the drive. Sounds like.
But all that, if they're gonna asphalt that, all that needs to be taken into the property coverage and open space needs to be taken, or open space needs to be taken into account, right?
Well, it would still, even if it's existing gravel right now, that still counts against your open space. So if it's all existing and they're just paving over it, it wouldn't increase the or decrease the open space.
Well, I think that what is it? The upper.
Yeah, that's not gravel. That's
That's not gravel. Yeah, that's just they've just parked there.
They're just parking there, yeah.
So, and also, is there? It looks like the slope might be more than 15. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly, but that would be a concern for asphalt.
What do we do with this one?
I say deny because we need more information.
What I captured so far is the denial and then a request to stake and string the area and provide updated coverage numbers.
and the slope of the drive.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to deny and request that they stake and string, provide additional information relative to the treatment and then also the slope of the driveway.
Got it.
Or is there any comment or concern about the 11-foot width?
I'm okay with
Or
that.
do we want to maintain a 12? Okay.
I think that's fine. I mean, if we're concerned about property coverage, I think 11 is fine for this. It's more like a drive into the parking space. It's not really a driveway, really. So I don't know. Anybody else have any concerns about that?
No.
Was that the one we looked and that was a keyway also, or was that another property?
I think, that was that's a good point, Patrick. When we looked at this on, one of the maps, there was a, not a keyway. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a shared space. Is this their driveway or is this a common area? Do you know, Joel?
I'm looking right now.
Yeah, no, it's not a keyway.
I thought I saw a drawing where it was. Where is that?
No, I'm looking at the map on 23 Lost Lake. It looks like there's actually open space on either side.
We're at 17 Lost Lake. 23 is the next one.
Oh, all right. 17. Yep, you're right. I'm wrong. Yeah, that is a keyway in there.
Yeah. So is this something that they can improve, or is this something that the neighbor has to be a part of?
They can. Let's see who the neighbor is here. They should be able to approve it. If it's in the keyway, it's technically the keyway is still part of Sun Valley right away. So it also probably require Mike Brock's approval. So we bring it to Sun Valley Maintenance also. And then, but the other property next door, 19 Lost Lake Lane, I think probably could also access from that keyway. It doesn't look like, is there a home on there?
It looks like it was meant for both of them. I think there is a home there.
It could provide access for both of them.
Well, this 17 Lost Lake Lane also owns 13 Lost Lake. So I don't know if that's just one big lot. Maybe they got a driveway on.
Yeah, that's right. There is a lot. It's a joined lot and it's front and back.
It's a double lot.
Yeah, they own two lots next to each other there.
Yeah, I can't tell by looking at the GIS where the neighboring 19 Lost Lake Lane pulls their driveway from, if it's coming off of the keyway or not.
All right. Well, bottom line is we got a motion and requesting a lot of additional information. So.
And so should we require them to talk to Mike Brock too, Joel?
Yeah, we could get Mike in on it, get his opinion before or after.
So you want to,
it'd probably require a REPA.
Yeah, I was just going to say, do you want to, as part of the denial and fill out a REPA for notification of Mike of the work.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion is,
Stake and string the property, provide updated coverage numbers and the existing and finished driveway. I just added that, Patrick. Existing and finished driveway slope, and fill out a REPA. Fill out and submit a REPA.
and that was, whose motion was that?
Yeah.
Dan's.
Dan,
Dan.
yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and thank you, Patrick, for pointing out that right-of-way thing. I forgot about that. Big issue. Okay, item 16, 23 Lost Lake Lane. Looks like they need to fix their deck.
Yeah, this seems like a no-brainer. I make a motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm not sure how that happened. I think we guys just jumped up off of there.
Yeah, mine's getting close to that.
Yeah.
It almost like
I
they
don't
never,
think we want to have a blanket consent because there are other people that'll just want to do their, might be on the committee.
that's just the damnedest thing I've ever seen. Like, did you guys go out and look at this?
No.
No, we didn't.
I mean,
I think the pictures tell it all.
well, but it looks like it's, I mean, it's not even on the footings. I don't know how a deck, like all 5 posts there aren't even on the footings. And then there's a footing to the right, and that picture to the right, there's not even a deck post there. It almost looks like somebody just went out there and built this deck and didn't even use the footings.
That's how I read it.
Yeah, this is crazy. So anyway, yeah, motion to approve.
All right. All in favor of that one? Did we?
Aye.
All right. Okay. Item 17, tree removal. I think Alan confirmed that these are both on their property. They're not, because
Correct.
one of them's beyond the fence, but I guess
Right.
that's still, so this is all their property.
Correct.
Does anybody have a problem with removing the birch or just asking to just limit instead?
How about how did they get that fence built?
Good question, Dan.
Which one's older, the fence or the tree?
Yeah.
You just let that birch tree fall on the fence.
That's a nice looking birch tree, but it is right in front of, I guess that's the front of the house. Does anybody have an opinion either way about cutting it or limbing it? They say they like the tree.
Mm-hmm.
They say it appears to be dying or dead. I'm not seeing that, but
The birch.
yeah.
Well, I think maybe we should approve cutting the pine, and if they want to cut the birch, either limit or get a report on it.
Yeah, I think that's a good compromise. They can limit if they want, but if they want to cut it down, we'd like to see the report.
So
And the Scotch pine, yeah, I'm going to take
Approve.
their word for it on that one.
okay, so
Motion?
approve Scotch pine and approve limbing or removal based on an arborist report.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
All right, so that was a motion, I guess.
So someone claim ownership because I
I
can't.
think that was Patrick, right?
Got it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Yeah, I have a question while we're talking about driveways and so forth.
Do you want this to be on
Probably.
the record?
Yeah, you want me to stop recording?
It can be or can't be. That doesn't care.
All right, well, we'll keep it rolling. Go ahead.
This is probably an Alan or Joel question, maybe a Mike Brock, but our driveway is our driveway, but there's like a lane and it shows that it's Sudden Valley right away. There's a lane that serves about 4 houses who's responsible to maintain that asphalt on there? Is that a homeowner thing, or if it's Sudden Valley, does Sudden Valley do that? Because I just noticed that there's a few spots that are starting to degrade, probably could use some hot patch.
Sorry, are we done recording or are we still recording?
We're recording.
Okay, what was the address?
It's our address is 7 Grandview Lane. The road, the front of the property is on Grandview, but the entrance is on the back side of the property. There, it serves 29, 7, 5, and 20.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking here. I see that. Yeah, it looks like, I mean, based off the GIS, it's showing kind of a dog leg.
Right. Yeah, that's the road that kind of goes down in
Yeah.
the different driveways.
And that's highlighting as a Sudden Valley owned private roads.
Dan, if you'd like, based on that, if you'd like to have Mike come out, send me an email and I can, or you can do it yourself.
Yeah, I can do that. I won't take up any more time. I just was curious whether, I wasn't sure if that spur was the responsibility of the joint homeowners, or if that was a Sudden Valley, but I'll send you an email, Alan, and maybe meet Mike out there at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
it's
right,
just got a couple small spots. It'd be good to patch it now before it got worse. So. Yeah. All right. Thank you all.
All right, we'll adjourn this meeting at 10:20.
10:20, give me a moment.